What up? What up? We are back with the Maniaco podcast. We are no strangers to the Maniaco podcast. Me and my brother Shelby here, and hit the like button. And blessed to be back. What's going on?
Not too much. Took a good pre-workout, some Pandemic today. One of those bottles of it that is already pre-made, and it was nice.
You got to take it first. They're not out yet.
Is that right? Okay.
Yep.
It wasn't a secret, was it?
Not a secret.
Well, it was a good product. Had me feeling good. Don't even need a nap right now. And I usually
Seriously, it was good. I thought it would be uneventful since we did Maniaco yesterday.
No, it was good. It got my heart rate going and gave a good back workout. And yeah, got some.
Did you feel the betas?
Did I feel strong betas?
I felt some good
maybe
betas.
Not super strong. If I did,
yeah. Panda's got it together. Company has got it together. So, anything you want to discuss before we?
No,
nothing.
Predetermined talking points.
All right,
just going into it.
I got some questions for you about competing.
Oh,
I want to get some insight from your personal experience.
I'll try to remember. It was a long
Thought it
time
would bring.
ago.
I think it was. It's not that long ago, and not to mention you've done it several times. So, I thought that it could bring value to the viewer, which is why we're here, right? We're here to bring value to the viewer.
For the newcomer.
All right. So a couple questions. We're here for the most important person in the room is the newcomer, they say. All right. So a couple questions. So what inspired you to take your first step into prepping for your first show?
Taking working out seriously and having that kind of mindset of if I do something and I really am passionate about it, I'm going to do it like to the fullest kind of thing. And I think that when I first started, it was not very long after I started personal training, not personal training. It was not long after I started getting into working out with a personal trainer that I did my first show. Like I took to working out and lifting very fast. I was determined. I'm sure there was some vision and drive in me of who I wanted to look good for and whatever. Like I was pumped up for it. And when I started lifting with my first personal trainer, Mario, he had competed before. And it was a very good inspiration for me. And I wanted to jump right in. And so that was awesome. So that was probably like, God, I got to look at the timeline, but I think I started personal training and lifting for the first time when I was 19. And I think I did my first show by the time I was 20 or 21.
Yeah, I was going to say they're usually.
I was tiny. I had no true understanding of it. And I was not competitive at all, really. I mean, I looked pretty decent. I had cuts and stuff, but my body's developed a lot since then. And I learned a lot since then for sure. My first show, I was a little guy. I probably have a picture I could throw up.
It wasn't even a question, right? You were like, I'm doing physique. There wasn't even like a debate which division.
Yeah, I was doing physique.
That's what Mario did, or
that's what Mario did, but also it was the league that was known as you don't need to take a bunch of steroids to do it. Right. Even though, I mean, you've been to those shows, you've seen some of the bodybuilders look like shit. I mean, to say it, it's not like they all at that amateur level. You don't need to be on a bunch of stuff. But like, yeah, I don't know. So
but that's NPC, right?
NPC, yes.
But the bodybuilders most of them are on stuff, or no?
Yeah, I think most of the bodybuilders, even in the NPC and amateur competitions, are still taking steroids. Yeah.
Do you remember what it was like the first time walking on stage?
I was nervous for sure. Yeah, it was very, you kind of, you see a lot of lights on you. Um, and then a dark audience because of those lights.
But the first time, do you remember the first time, like your first show?
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah.
I was a little shaky for sure. And nor did I, I thought I could go in there, and this has been a struggle for me. I find posing a lot of the time very, I don't know, the word corny or hokey or something cringy. And I certainly did not take it very seriously. And I realize if you're going to compete, you got to take all aspects of it seriously. And the posing, I rushed through it. I did not take my time. I did not practice nearly enough or in front of somebody who had knowledge enough to be able to like really guide me. So I tried to basically wing it, and that did not bode very well for me. I did not place well, and yeah, they learn a lot from that first time.
Well, I'll be honest, dude. Like I've been to some of those shows just for you, and you think you were winging it. I mean, maybe with the posing. I remember sitting in the audience thinking, like, did some of these people just like decide to compete like
Yeah,
2 days ago? Like
right,
some of them looked like, and I don't mean to be rude or like, but like really like lack of condition. They look super regular, like just
right.
people just everyday people who you just
Yeah,
looked like they just decided to do a show.
sounds
You
about
know,
right. Yeah.
yeah. So, out of all your competitions, what would you say? Do you have one that was the most memorable competition experience?
Um, well, let me do. How do you share this? For instance, okay, so boom, I got you. Hold on one sec. I want to just throw this up here. So this was my first um,
That's
look
pretty good.
in my physique, and yeah, I mean, listen, I had some obliques. I mean, my abs
That's a real physique look.
were pronounced. Yeah, now it's funny. I feel like I got bigger and I got better, but the people who seemed to beat me were more people who looked like this.
That's the
And
physique look right there. That's
yeah,
a
that's
guy who I would say would be in a physique show.
yes, that
If
was
I today, I would not. I would say to you, I know you would do physique probably based on our conversations, but I would be like, dude, you got to do classic
yeah.
based
So
on
that
your current physique.
right. So that was my first, and then my last. This wasn't competition, but this was my last kind of time of training as if I was competing, uh, was right here. So obviously, there's been some changes in my
Oh yeah,
build and all of that.
you have better pictures. There's a lot of better pictures in that.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool one.
That's a good one. But there, you have some that really show yourself.
Yeah, it was fun, but yeah. So that was my first competition, 2013. I realized, I think, and yeah, I was a tiny little guy.
So was that the most memorable one? The one you recently did?
Yeah, I mean, the most memorable. I drove to Ohio by myself. I was there. That was the Ohio Natural. Um, that was a good competition. I don't know about memorable. I met Jay Cutler at a few of them. That was always cool to
Hey,
talk to
he's
him.
always at shows. What does he
Yeah,
sponsor them?
he sponsored that. I think people. I think he probably just gets paid to come in
Oh,
and kibitz with some of the contestants and take
I
pictures and
got you.
stuff like that.
It's like
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know what was the most memorable. All I know is that I'm usually disappointed at the end of them because I've gone through all this training and all this stuff. And even when I came in second in my class in one of them, it just wasn't satisfying. And I think a big reason is because I never had the true aspiration of going pro anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, what am I putting all this effort in for? And let's say I'm putting it in to practice discipline. I mean, I don't regret it exactly, but the most satisfied I've been was the 3-month prep that I did to do a photo shoot. That was the most satisfied because the photos that came out of it were things that I could more practically use. You can't go and, have this goofy tan while you're on stage and expect that to use those photos for anything, I don't know, a wide array of things. And I feel like I'm really happy with the fact that
You have the
I
pictures
have
forever, and
pictures in different kind
you
of
got to take your time with them and
take my
take
time and have it private and all that. So the money you're spending on like a decent photographer for that is less than what you're paying to enter a competition and get a tan, the professional tan that you have to get through their people and then pay their photographer. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to ask, but you said it was a 12. Is that what your normal preps were? 12 weeks?
12 weeks. That's always that's been my go-to number.
Did you structure it any kind of way?
Yeah, I always try to. I always try, like in the beginning, like here's my diet, here's what I'm sticking to, and then as the time goes by, listen, if you're eating high calorically, even high carbs, but they're all clean, you're going to, I think if you're putting in the good food in you, if you're doing that for a month or two, you're going to lean out and get ripped. And then you start cutting those carbs like the last 4 weeks, and then you seriously notice changes. So as long as I was clean, I didn't really care how many calories I was taking in, as long as all the food was quality. And so that first month, it's like, I don't want to crash. So it's very easy to get in a rush to say, like, I want to, lose this much weight or this much fat. And then you like go in a calorie deficit right away. I learned like that's not the right thing to do. You want to be patient with it. You can always pull little carbs out as the time goes on, and it makes a huge difference. That last month makes a big, big difference. I cut out, what's cool, what I do is I cut out powders as well the last 4 weeks. So I'm only getting whole and raw, like whole foods.
Right. And the idea of that is because the powder, there's a chance it'll bloat you or something.
My idea of it is I just don't want anything in my body that I don't know. And I want no more chemicals and things that are added.
You might not respond favorably.
Yeah. So just whole food, a lot of chicken.
That's the
best. A lot of beef,
one.
a lot of sweet potato. And then the last like week, rice cakes.
Oh, you did a lot of rice cakes?
Yeah.
I think people are really caught up about calorie counting, and I think it's I don't think people really understand. I think that there's kind of a more advanced way of thinking of it, and if you're ultra clean, then you're going to get shredded. You're going to look good. If you don't need, I mean, yeah, if you're dialing in for a show or something, sure, you got to get as dialed in as possible at the end there, like you said, but I think people don't realize if you're consistently eating spot on clean, and I have a high standard for what clean is, you're gonna drop. You're gonna look good.
And I made it like, listen, when I'm starting and I know that I'm gonna be doing a show or whatever, I'm training for this thing. No alcohol, nothing off the diet. Now, sometimes I will, like in the beginning, especially the further you are from the competition, the more leeway you might give yourself. Like there were nights where I would eat extra oats or extra apple or something because I'm hungry. And, but I never would eat outside of the foods that I knew were on the diet. So sometimes the calories or the macros would be high, but I think when you give your body the clean fuel, even if it's a lot more fuel than you need, you're going to be hitting the mark pretty well.
Right. Let me ask you this. The way you train, do you find that you're putting more heart into your training when you're
Yeah,
prepping, or is it
always. There's
keep it
no
all?
other. There's no better focus. There's no better, rather, focus and way to get yourself determined
Yeah,
and
you
having.
feel a better mind muscle connection and
I mean,
everything
you're
when
just
you're
pumped up. You're more amped up. You're ready to
yeah.
go. You have something in mind. You have a vision that you're working towards. And so you start posing more, you start flexing harder, you start doing all that because, like, yeah, you're putting yourself in a different mindset. Totally. What was
Right.
really interesting is it's like all the energy goes towards that. Like my sex drive was it's like non existent. None
During prep.
during prep. I'm just like, you're zoned in. You don't even think about it. It's like you're just, all your energy is going into that. You're totally self involved. And yeah, I had like, yeah, just, I don't think it's low libido. I just think
No.
you're,
No,
you're,
no, no. I think there's
you're just putting
no.
your energy elsewhere. That's
No,
all.
it's something I experienced in my life. When you have things in your life you're super passionate about and you're driven about, you put that drive towards that and
Yeah.
you don't waste it on
No.
nonsense,
Right.
that's not
I mean,
productive.
I went at least, it was between 4 and 6 weeks without any sexual pleasure, any sexual satisfaction, anything with somebody else, for myself, whatever. Because I also, A, I wasn't interested. I wasn't even thinking about it. But B, I also had it in my head, like, I don't want to, any reason for me to not be motivated. And I feel like holding all that in, um, is only going to fuel muscle and growth and
I agree.
all of that.
It's your
So
drive.
yeah,
You don't
yeah,
want to waste your seed and your drive on things that are just taking away from that. Yeah, no,
right.
that's your drive. Um, and there's something to that. So do you find, is there anything besides the eating that you find to be a big challenge? I mean, obviously, I think if I said to you, "What's the biggest challenge during prep?" I would just guess you'd be like, the eating clean and freaking being hungry or whatever it is. But is there anything besides that you find to be a
Mm,
challenge?
the social aspect of things can be, if you are a social person. For me, you have to decide you're going to be much more isolated than you're used to. Um, and
But is that because of the eating?
yes, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, it's
So it
because you
all
don't want
comes back to the eating,
you
really,
don't want to
right?
put yourself in those positions. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it has not been difficult to make the time for my workouts. It hasn't been difficult. And then it's like always the last week of adjustments and preparation and all that is, it's like more of a I don't know. You're just there's a stress level to it, I guess. You know.
You're living in your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess as you do it more and more, that becomes less, but not even. I mean, it
And I
continues.
don't even think you don't change up your cardio approach, do you?
No, cardio I do not change up. It's all in the diet, really. My lifts, I don't really change up anything other than diet. That's the only thing that changes, that gets me shredded. Really, is diet wise.
You don't aim to get more rest or anything like that?
No, mm-mm.
No.
No, no.
Yeah.
I do not aim to get more rest. I don't see it as being, in that 3 month period, I can go all in and be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I'll get one. I mean, I'll get one day of full rest, but like that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just mean more sleep.
No. Mm-mm.
No.
I
So,
don't aim to get more sleep. I always am on the same sleep regimen too, pretty much.
yeah. Yeah, it's just hard when you're dieting down and you're run down and stuff. You want to be as optimal as possible so you're in a good mood and have as much energy as you can. It's hard on your hormones, all that,
Yeah.
at least at the end.
Right.
I mean, being in a calorie deficit is hard on your hormones. I mean, it's hard on the body. It's
Yeah.
bad for testosterone and
But
stuff
you're
like
never in like a deficit where you're, I mean, like we'll call there are different degrees of deficits, but we're not talking about like being on a 500 to 1,000 calorie a day diet here.
that.
We're
No.
talking about low, but it's like in terms of how much people eat in the world in general, there are probably poor populations that eat, less than
No,
what
that's true. But like
deficit
for
is.
myself, like during the summer, when I'm hitting cardio fasted in the morning and then I'm pumping iron in the afternoon and I'm eating like 1,700 calories
Oh
a
yeah,
day,
it's gonna take.
I feel run down. Like I
Yeah,
feel like
it takes way more effort for
it
sure.
takes a toll on me.
Oh,
Like I
I've been
feel
in
like
my.
I could be on the verge. Like I'm like, man, I feel like I'm about to get sick.
I've done my first show. I was so misinformed and neurotic and whatever. I had zero carbohydrates in me. Zero for
You mean
about
at the show?
no for 2 to 3 weeks before
That's
the
what I mean.
show.
Like right before, yeah,
Two
right
to three
before.
weeks of
Yeah,
no carbs. I was
yeah.
in a depression. I literally was
You
hearing.
crashed. Yeah.
I mean, like
There's
I
a
was in
word
a
for that too. I forgot what it is.
well, carb crashing is a thing, but I
No,
was
there was another one I recently heard. Like people who like start a carnivore diet or a keto diet or whatever, who like pull the carbs out.
it
There's
was
a
wild.
term for
I
it.
was in
Yeah,
a dark place.
like a withdrawal almost. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're in a different world at that point, and yeah, it was wild. But you fight through. I don't know. I was focused. I was ready to go.
What is a typical day eating? How many meals do you eat a day?
Um, I usually have like 4 to 5 times of eating, you
Yeah.
know, and maybe it just depends on the day, but I always have a meal with my chicken breasts and sweet potato and a veggie, and then my another meal is going to have my protein shake with some oats and my creatine, and another meal is going to be my 96% lean beef with an apple sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe another meal will be my sardines,
Yeah.
and that's like 4 meals right there. So it just depends if I need to add something else to that. It might be eggs, 2 eggs with
Oh
the
yeah,
rest
eggs are great.
whites. hmm
Do you even get cravings during prep, or have you like shut it off in your head that
During
it's not
prep, no. During prep, I'm on. I mean, the craving will be: should I have another apple because I'm hungry right now? It
oh
will
like
not.
something? Should I
It
eat
will.
something more clean? You're
It will
saying?
not be me venturing out. Like right
Right.
now, on a typical weekday, since I'm not training for anything in mind, my mind will go: should I go to the grocery store and grab some ice cream, as
Right.
opposed to like, should I go and have another apple? But when I'm in prep and I know that I've dedicated myself to a show, it is not getting off that at all. Yeah,
Right.
I'm
And then
all in.
amazing how once we like make a decision, we
Oh
shut
yeah.
it down.
That's
It's
why I've
not even an
decided to do
option.
shows and prepare for things, because I knew I wanted a reason to shut that kind of thinking down every
So is
once
there
in
a way to, is there, let me ask you this.
a while.
Do you think there's a way to do that without doing a show? To, to
I
do that
haven't found
same?
it. Is there? Sure, there has to be. Or there I want there to be, but uh I haven't gotten there. I haven't done it myself.
Yeah.
Um without having that vision and that thing that I'm know in reality that I'm working towards with a due date to it. No, it's very difficult for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's difficult.
I have that personality.
Yeah. What, what supplements are like staples during your prep in your regimen?
During my prep,
Yeah.
those have probably changed over the years. I mean, creatine um, is on until, and it used to be, and whether, there are so many things that are like you choose what to believe. Creatine, I was always told, like, pull that out before your competitions because it'll hold on to water. So I do that, and I probably still would do that. pull it out over the last few weeks just to make sure that I was getting all my excess water out, if that's in fact what's happening. I take my vitamins. But I take those all year round. Vitamin B complex and vitamin D, zinc, magnesium at night. What have I taken? Expel was one that's like the last couple days. That's a diuretic, but now I take more so like dandelion root.
So you would still take like some natural mild diuretics like that.
Yeah, yeah, I would.
Have you ever seen it? Any?
I have no idea. I do not know. No.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
I cannot tell. I do it because it's like something that has been told to me, and somehow it makes sense in my head that it theoretically should work. So I do it.
You never really got into EAAs during your training. You don't sip them or anything when you train, right?
No, I used to at one point. I had the was it Redcon that made them that I liked?
Redcon made them. Beverly made glutamine select.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's come and gone. It hasn't been like a staple though for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And pre-workouts. I continued pre-workouts until the end too, usually.
Yeah. So so you decided to do physique, and do you ever look in the mirror and you say, wow, this is a weaker body part that I have? This is something like I really need to work on, like a
My
specific
triceps.
Your triceps.
Mm-hmm.
Really? You've always looked at those and thought, I need to build those.
Yeah, my triceps.
Yeah.
They've gotten sharp. I've realized that as I lean out, I mean, it really can sharpen up. But like even right now, I am 10 pounds away or so from it really showing. Like it's there. I know it's there, but
So not the size, just the ripness.
Right. Correct.
I see. Yeah.
I mean, the size, listen, size would be great too, probably. But no, it's not something that I look at and I'm like, I'm worried because it's not big enough, or I'm not. It's always, is it showing enough right now, given how lean I am or shredded I am or whatever. So no, nothing like that. Just wanting to be more and more defined in it, to be pronounced and out there. Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who I know you're different than a lot of people, and I actually like what you do. But that's my thing. I've never really wanted a coach telling me how to, what to do. Like making adjustments. Like I just kind of feel like, but I've never competed, so I'm just kind of like,
it makes sense. It
makes sense. It does. A lot of coaches are online and they don't really know you. They see you through pictures and stuff, and they don't really know like how you look when you're training or how you look. There's like a lot of factors, I feel like, for like a coach to really get dialed in. So for me, like, I'm just like, I got a relationship with my body and my muscle and the weights. And, I just always kind of, went off of that. But to get really dialed in, like, you've never used a coach. So do you, during your training, is it just kind of a steady flow, like from start to finish? Or are there periods where you're like, I got to make adjustments, I got to adjust something here?
It's always towards the end.
So it's always just like a steady go. And then at the end, you're like, what do I need to do to change something?
Mm-hmm. And usually I know that since it's 3 months,
and
I know
how's that done? By looking in the mirror and just saying, this is what I'm not lean enough. I'm holding too much water or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. The water thing, like you start to get comfortable knowing that at the end, when you do the right things, like for instance, there's always the last 6 days or so of the water manipulation, like you take in a couple gallons the first 2 days, then you go to a gallon and a half, then you go to a gallon, then you go to a half gallon. After doing that at least once or twice, you see, like, if you do that system, your body is going to respond.
So you like that system?
Yeah, I like that.
It's effective.
Yeah, it seems to be effective.
But I remember this last prep, or at least the photo shoot, you said, I'm not going to do that.
And I didn't because I wasn't competing. I wanted to be a little more full.
I see.
And I think it's a little different. I don't know how or why, but maybe it's just justified in my head. But competing versus just getting photos taken, I think I took it probably a little less
Stringent.
Yeah, or I was more relaxed about it because I knew that I wasn't being side by side with other people, and that comfort probably did good for my body, as opposed to like going into certain panic modes and like trying to change and adjust a ton of things.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. I've just noticed, a lot of people, I think the longer people train, the more obviously we learn. And like one of the things I've learned is like some of the things we do that we think are going to be detrimental, like our body will put them to good use sometimes, like maybe eating some fattier meat here and there, or keeping the sodium intake, a little higher, or, things that really actually might help our physique in certain ways, and we can be a little more relaxed than we once thought. Sometimes it works against us to be so tight with certain things. But so have you ever had an injury during prep?
Yes.
I remember that. I think
it was scary. I was like, uh-oh. And I think it was my calf. I pulled it. And
oh yeah,
that was one of them at least. And
you couldn't do cardio, or you were
I definitely couldn't do cardio. And I went and got massages. I paid, somebody to get in there, and I'll pay any amount of money at that point because I'm thinking like this is the biggest thing ever. And that's I like that. Like when I train for a competition, I act as if this is the world to me. This is it. This is like everything. It's kind of a good, like, I know it's not, but if you decide in your world that it is, I don't know. It makes it. I think that there's nothing wrong with you taking things super seriously like that. I mean, it's cool to get in that mindset. When you have a family or when you have other obligations, you might need a reality check on that. But yeah,
it is good. Yeah, it's a positive thing. I mean, if it's not involved with too much, if you can do it and not feel like, if you could still fulfill your purpose of being helpful to people and doing things, in your life that
I could see it bringing down a lot of people around you if you're living with people and you're dealing with all those neuroses and stuff. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the wives of like very like the highest ranking bodybuilders in the world, just it's their job.
Yeah.
And they just, this is his job, and this is what he does, or whatever. So yeah. So during the peak week, which is, I guess peak weeks consider what, the 7 days before?
That's peak week. Yeah.
What's the process like then?
Water manipulation, carb manipulation. So like, you start by,
Introducing.
You can. That's like day between. So shows are on Saturdays usually. Shows are on Saturdays. So by Wednesday, you are starting to introduce those carbs back.
Yeah.
And that's that while the water is going down.
Right.
So the carbs are going up, the water is going down, and that kind of fills you out and sucks up all the excess water and kind of makes you look bigger.
So let's say you got peak week, let's say up to 7 days out. How low are your carbs?
It depends. It all depends. Like I've gone
Like if you were going to another competition,
right
you're going to
now,
do it
if
what
I
you
did it
consider
the
as the right way.
smart way, I
Yeah.
would probably be at like 110 to 130.
So not extremely low.
Not anymore. No, I won't do that anymore. I
Wow.
realize that I don't think it's that necessary usually, or I'm prepared enough where I know that I'm not going to have to put myself in that position, and maybe that's more what it is. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to be in that position where I go that low anymore.
For 12 weeks, you could be really constantly losing body fat
Mm-hmm. It's
slowly.
amazing, man. I've had competitions where I've taken picture every single day, so you
Yeah.
see, like if you just press the arrow on your computer and go da 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 da, it's like you see it's coming. It's very
Right.
cool. Yeah,
Right.
amazing.
So you wouldn't bring it down more than 110. And then let's say you
I
were
would, I would, if it felt like that's what needed to be, but
right.
I don't know if it is needed.
Right.
Yeah.
So then what would be considered carb loading? How high?
That's something that I get in my head about.
I think yeah, that's easy
I
too.
have a very tough time going big,
Have you
and
ever really done it?
we've seen like that, and cousin Jake, who's competed and stuff, has pointed out to me how much better I look the day after my competitions because we always celebrate with a lot of good food the night of
I
a
think that
show.
is super common.
Super, and I'm flat, and then like I eat like Chinese food or something or
Right.
pizza. And the next day, man, I'm vascular and I'm out there. And I did that. I didn't, I've let myself not do those like cheats the night before a competition or the shoot, but I did allow myself to eat way more carbohydrates. And
I
it did.
remember when I was shredding with you for
Mhm.
Florida, I remember Ruben said to me, he goes, "You're gonna go out that night to dinner and you're gonna cheat and you're gonna do what you want." He goes, "That's when you're gonna want to stand up and take a picture."
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's
And
like
it's great.
he's like, "You're gonna want to stand up from the table then, and
Yeah.
that's when you're gonna want to take
A
some
little
pictures."
because you tighten up. I mean, you're
Yeah.
tighter, you're everything, and
Yeah, you look amazing. Your
yeah,
body's just like putting it to all the right places.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
So how high have you gone? Have you allowed yourself to?
I mean, I don't know if I tracked the night before, like fully tracked, like put in every rice cake
Yeah.
that I had or something like that, but probably a good
250.
400.
Oh, 4. So
Yeah,
that's real. Those are good.
yeah. I did it. I did it. Yeah.
Rice
Honey.
cakes are more like simple, right?
Hmm.
Rice cakes are on the simpler end of of carbs, I believe, right? I mean, they're not super
Right.
complex.
It depends. I would get brown rice cakes.
Is
Cousin
is
Jake.
that much different? I mean,
Yeah,
they're
brown
similar
rice.
on the
Brown rice
glycemic
cakes are supposed
index
to be more complex and
a
slower
little more.
digesting or
Yeah,
something. Yeah, yeah,
maybe.
yeah. But then, like, I think this last time I allowed myself to get like cinnamon, apple, or something like that. Like I was loosening up, and loosening up, I think, helped me get a better look.
Better pump. You get a
Yeah,
better
it's
pump
not
too. I mean,
right.
your pictures, you were pumping in the gym, right?
Man, I was pumped. I realized looking at those
Yeah,
pictures right now, I was freaking.
it's a good
I was,
feeling.
yeah. It's
That's
like
a high. Do
I'm gonna
you?
chase that. I'm gonna do that again. I am probably another in May. I am
I would
planning
do
on.
it. I would do an April, May, June.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would do that.
I
Yeah,
think it would be awesome to get some more photos going, and not just the photos, but like just feel good, feel in control of my eating again, feel ripped,
yeah.
all
So your
that.
mindset, like the last 24 to 48 hours, are you generally just like pumped up? Are you freaked out? Are you in a good
Um,
headspace? Are you run down? How do you feel?
I'm freaked out because I know it's coming to an end, and I'm scared of how I'm going to be losing everything.
Oh, you're already thinking about afterwards.
Yes, I'm
I
thinking of
see.
how I'm going to, yeah, uh, not be in this kind of mindset anymore, because I've done it enough where I see like where my habits are. And that's not to say that I can't change my habits. I need to be able to. But
Oh yeah, see, that's a great picture.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Do you enjoy how you feel during prep?
um yeah. Oh, I love it.
You
I
do.
feel like I'm in charge. I'm doing something that I
You're
know that most people aren't doing, and I'm like super disciplined, and
you're hyped up.
something about that discipline and control is and seeing the results. I mean, if I did all that and I didn't see my body transforming, I'd probably be very upset. But like,
Right.
no, you see, like you are in charge, and that's the beauty of it. You get to see that the choices that you make will determine how you will look and how you will feel, therefore. So
All right, so let's bring you to the actual competitions and your pre pre-stage. Okay, your pre-stage. Okay, you're
mhm.
in the back. Uh, what's going on there?
Well,
What's your
I've had different experiences. The first competition that I had, I allowed myself, and this is a learning curve. You talk to other people, and that's a mistake. It's a mistake depending on if you're vulnerable to actually listening to them and believing them and all that. So, like, I think somebody said something about. I'm like, yeah, I had a banana, or something. Somebody goes, "You had a banana?" And I'm like, what did I do? And yeah, like people will give you all sorts of information. You're going to hear about all their.
Are they trying to throw you off their square? They're just so much. Is
No,
there just so much ignorance in
I think that
bodybuilding?
everybody has their different sources and their
Right.
different opinions.
So they're not intentionally trying to
I
screw with
don't
you,
think so. I don't think so.
but that happens.
That like Arnold used to do that.
Yeah, but
He
that's a
said
common thing.
he would tell people to scream on stage, and he's like, "Yeah, man, it's the judges want to see that," and I think they'd scream and like make
Who was telling me it was Ruben or something? He used to tell me you go to different gyms so the competition couldn't see him or something.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you get in these mindsets like you think it's a very narcissistic endeavor. I mean, you
Yeah.
think everybody's thinking and looking at you, and in a way, listen, your competition, if you're at that level, are wanting to know what you probably look like and stuff. But yeah, you get kind of that paranoia a little bit.
I always thought it was cool. Dorian Yates used to talk about how he would like train in this dungeon,
Right.
and like nobody saw him, nobody
It's
knew he
very
was
cool. Right.
coming, nobody. He was just like sculpting himself, and then he would just appear there at
Yeah.
Mr. Olympia,
Right.
blew everyone away, and nobody even like there was no like Dorian looks crazy for this
Right.
show. Right? I always thought that was kind of a cool, just a
Yeah.
cool thing.
It's
Like
very cool. Right. Right.
you're
Right.
just
You
like
just
you're like in your own little world sculpting yourself, and you just show up,
yeah. No,
and
that
all
that
that
is cool.
there.
So behind the stage, yeah, you can get involved in and I've been very good, in nice conversations with people. But everybody's got a mean look on their face. Everybody's like,
Really?
oh yeah, a lot of people. I mean, and
They're
in one way, I
stressed.
would
They're
judge
just
that.
stressed out, or what?
No, I think it's a persona. It's
It's
like
ego.
it's ego. It's definitely ego, but in one way I used to judge that as like, man, these guys, they're assholes. But then in another, I now that I look back, I'm like, is that what you kind of sometimes need to do in order just to get in the mindset of competing and like
Yeah, I
be
mean,
the
I hear those UFC fighters like they want to kill the opponent.
right? And then right after they hug.
Right.
So that's different. I mean, yeah, UFC, you really go to freaking battle. I think in the
Right.
other sports like bodybuilding, you need to pretend like you're going to battle. It's
But
different.
you are in a sense. I mean, you got to go like if you're going to compete, like if I'm going to compete, which I haven't, obviously, I'm not going to go in with like, oh, I'm going to get ripped as possible. I'm going to go in with like, I'm going to freaking win. I want to win.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm going to freaking smoke the competition. Like
Yeah,
I want to freaking step up on stage and look crazy
yeah,
and freaking crush it.
yeah.
I think you have to.
I think you have to if you're gonna really go
You're
for
gonna
the win.
win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
backstage people are what? They're doing exercise. I mean, what are they
Yeah.
doing?
Oh, some people, yeah, they're doing their exercises. Some have their coaches with them, who
Do you
are
see a lot of that coaching teams and stuff? Is
for
that
sure,
common?
for
They're
sure.
all together, the team.
Sometimes yes, the teams are together, or it's just the individual and their coach, whatever. They're
And a
going
lot of
through.
times those are the people who win
Hmm.
because of the politics of the
For
shows.
sure, there's a lot of politics
Those
that goes into
coaches
it.
and the judges, that's like a thing where
Oh,
they're
it's a big thing.
a discouraging thing
Yeah, well, that's what at the end of every competition, I would often say, not going through this again. If this
because
is how
they're
it,
playing the game and you're
yeah,
not.
yeah. And then some are, they're practicing their posing, they're getting their pumps. I listen to music, put in my headphones and just kind of do my thing and relax, or I'll FaceTime with you or cousin Jake or
What do
something.
you find the most effective thing to do is before walking up on stage, exercise wise?
Um,
How do you get a pump?
there are so many bands
A
behind
lot
the
of
stage.
band.
Well, that's what they have there usually for people, and I don't know.
Oh, they provide bands.
Sometimes it depends where you're at. Yes, some places will have bands and things.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Other time, people are doing their push-ups. People are a lot of push-ups for
Because
sure.
you don't want, from what I know,
You don't want to go too early.
you not just that, you got to be very conscious of the muscles you're working because you don't want your abs to look flat. And by hitting
Well, calf
abs,
raises and abs. You don't want to
right,
do calves, and you don't want to do abs. Is
because
always
they'll look smooth, right?
right. That's the deal with that. Yes.
Is
You
that
don't.
true? I mean, when I'm hitting abs, do my abs go away? I don't know.
No, I don't think they go away, but right, there might be something to drawing blood to the area, maybe
Okay.
that makes them not as pronounced. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, calves and abs are always the thing that I've been told stay off of, and I do, because you're not going to get pumps in your abs anyway, but you can get pumps and veins popping in your arms and your chest and your back. So, and just practicing posing can do that. You don't need necessarily too much pumpage as far as like exercises. Just flex on your poses, and you'll get some pumps in.
So what are you eating at the competition?
Uh, a lot of just rice cakes, honey, and
So that's clean stuff.
well, it's clean stuff. It's high sugar and
Yeah,
stuff.
but it's clean. It's
Yes,
not like it's
yes,
clean.
it's clean. You don't need to overdo the protein at that point. I might have like a little dry, chicken or turkey breast or something like that. But
What's
for
the
the
idea of having any protein?
yeah, right. I don't know. Maybe it's to yeah, I don't know. All I know is I don't want to cut it out altogether because I know my body's been used to getting it in.
All
So
right,
that's
that's
kind of
fair.
how I look at things
Sure.
too. We've been kind of trained to look at things like that. Like, don't go too far away from what you've been used to because then your body could have an adverse effect. So
Right.
I don't know. But I definitely have way more carbohydrates than anything. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And
and then I
you're
had some juice. I don't. I had at one point cut out the water altogether, which is so stupid because you think about like I've gotten blood drawn, right, and it was very hard for them to take out blood because I was dehydrated,
right.
and it's like, oh, so I need water
Yeah,
in order
good pump comes
to
from
get
hydration.
veins popping
Yeah,
and for my blood to be flowing properly, I need water in me. So you don't
that's
want to
true.
over dry yourself.
No.
You know,
No, you want to be hydrated.
yeah, you want to be hydrated.
You have to be hydrated to have a real good pump in the gym.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a big thing. And sodium might be helpful.
yeah,
Some electrolytes and
yeah.
stuff. Potassium and sodium are the
Sodium, yeah, oh yeah.
two major
I've
electrolytes.
done the I got on the Sour Patch Kids after a few years I of avoiding it. I only did honey before and stuff like that, and then I'm like, fuck it, I can do this. I can have it. So I would take some of that
I
sugars.
know in the pictures I took in Florida, I had I went to
Pomegranate
the
juice?
grocery store and I found the highest natural juice was black cherry in sugar.
Right.
Black cherry. And I did that and honey. And man, my veins were popping
Right.
like freaking crazy. That
Yeah.
stuff was
And
that
so, like,
stuff
I've
had,
and remember, like, this is the mind state. Like, I used to be at the grocery store for 20 minutes comparing a juice to a juice, and as you just said, like, black cherry you found is the highest. It's like, yeah, but guess what? Grape juice, it's going to be very, very, very comparable. It's not going to be
I
this
know.
like make or break. And so I realized like there are certain things that that I don't need to spend as much time debating and stressing over.
I was just pouring honey in my mouth. I mean,
Yeah, doing
yeah.
that.
Yeah. So what are you seeing people eat at these competitions?
Hmm?
Are you seeing them eat cake and all sorts of crazy stuff or
Hmm. Lots of cake, um, lots of cookies, things like that.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Lots
yeah.
of because backstage usually the show provides that kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Oh, they're
They'll provide
providing
a bunch of cookies and cakes and things like that, and people will chow down.
and
Some
you didn't indulge in that.
I never did. No.
No. And so how much
And then there,
time?
just so you're missing an aspect of this, which is the prejudging and then the main
Right.
show.
Right,
And the
right, right.
prejudging, let's just
I
get it clear.
remember.
There's the prejudging where you go out at about 9:30, 10 a.m. And that is where you go through the entire show, but with very limited audience.
Yeah.
And make no mistake, that is where the determination is made. At least at the amateur or NPC shows, that is where the judges make their decision.
Right.
And the rest, the night show is just a way for them to make more money because they sell tickets for families and stuff.
Right.
And then they run through the show real quick and they announce the winners immediately. There are no adjustments made. They rarely place anybody in different places. They figure that all out at the earlier show, which is why it's such an annoyance because you go from this early show, which you're up on stage 9:30, 10 o'clock, whatever, and then you are waiting hours and the next show is at 5 p.m. So you're there, you're trying to stay tight, you're not trying to let too loose, you're not trying to drink too much water to get yourself bloated, and you're just like, man, it's a waiting game and it's annoying.
Yeah.
So
You're on
I
stage
wish that there was
very
only,
fast.
huh?
You're on stage very fast.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
And so I wish there was only one show as opposed to these two. But
Right.
yeah.
So is there anybody there at the shows who's able to offer feedback like before you go home? Like let's say you go,
Yes,
let's say you
apparently there.
did.
Yes. I've never done it because I was always
So you've never
I
taken
was
post show.
salty and bitter. But I highly recommend that you do. Yes,
Like
I don't
from the
know how good
judges
I
themselves
don't know
or
how good the feedback is. Yeah, I believe it is the judges themselves. But yes, apparently you can go up to them and ask them, hey, what pointers, why did I get the score or the rating I got? I don't know if that's something that you do right there or if you email it in or what,
I
but
see.
apparently you can get feedback. Yes.
Have you ever had feedback from people, you send pictures like other people in your life
Yeah,
post
I mean,
show?
like I would pose in front of a couple people, like Don Frazier. He watched me pose once, and he actually helped me for sure.
Yeah.
Helped me, yeah, he did. God rest his soul.
Yeah,
Um,
really.
he did walk me through and showed me some poses and helped me get a little looser with the way that I was transitioning from one to the other, and that was pretty cool. Cousin Jake has always been a good, more than willing to help kind of guy, and yeah, my biggest fault was always me not taking the posing seriously enough.
How much
Me
time did you dedicate a day to posing?
um oh, probably like over an hour and a quarter.
During 12 weeks for the
No,
whole time?
no.
Toward
I
the
mean,
end?
Absolutely right. Like the day that I've decided that I'm doing a show, like during my workouts between sets, I kind of start getting into it. But like actually going through like the walkout and the whole process, that starts getting more serious. To be honest, it starts getting more serious for me like at week 4 for week 4 before the show, so 4 weeks out, because then I can actually see where my body's at. Even though I know that there are going to be much more changes coming in the next 4 weeks, I can see where my strong suits are, where should I show, and that'll kind of get me saying, here's what I want my routine to be, here's what I want to show, you know.
Right. So let's say you transitioned and you went to classic bodybuilding. Next show,
Classic physique.
classic physique. There's no There's a no.
There's physique, there's classic,
Oh,
and there's bodybuilding.
Yeah, classic bodybuilding.
Yeah, I don't know if they call. I don't know if it's called classic bodybuilding or actually classic physique.
All right. So
whatever, it's classic.
How different is the posing in classic?
I think it's different. I think it's very.
You're flexing, right?
I think it's more like bodybuilding.
You're flexing.
Yeah, I think you're like. Yes.
So would you enjoy that more?
I don't know.
That aspect of it?
Yeah, I think so. I probably yes, I would enjoy it more. I don't think I'd necessarily do great. I don't know. It depends who I'm competing against always, but like I think that there are a lot of big boys out there who are much bigger than me. I mean, listen, when I compete, I'm usually at 160.
At the shows you've been to?
No, I mean, yeah, sometimes, yes. Some of those shows there are some impressive people, depending what the show is. But yeah, I mean, it all depends. I would really need my quads to come out, or I would want them to at least. And
yeah, is that a weak point of yours?
Yeah, quadriceps are weak, and I hit them as much as I hit any other body part. So it's just something that. Yeah, I think I also hold on to a lot of fat there too. Oh. So I think the muscle might be there, that it's just like really hard to pronounce and come out with the striations and stuff. So yeah. It might just be a sign that I need more time than the 12 weeks to get them to really show, you know. Right. It's not that I can't if I put in the amount of time, it's that I might need a longer prep than the 12 weeks to get rid of that fat that's around those areas to show the definition.
So the show's over. You've gone out. You have your cheat meal. You enjoy yourself. Now the next day and following,
you're kind of depressed.
You're kind of depressed. Seriously?
Yeah, because the drive. You've been
so amped up.
Your whole world has been revolved around this. It's almost like when you have a job that you've had for 50 years and you retire, you imagine that life is going to be really fun now that you don't need to work anymore. But it's like, well, what's my purpose now? Right. And after a show, you're kind of asking yourself, well, what's my purpose now? What
okay, that's fair. So do you have an approach to that post-show recovery kind of thing? Do you have a certain approach? Do you
cut yourself? I like to usually have a couple belts on hand. Yeah.
I mean, do you say like, I'm going to just keep eating clean as long as I can? Do you just fall the heck off right away? I mean,
I was at the gym the next day after some of my shows.
Okay, yeah. So yeah.
I get right back on the horse.
No, you've never stopped pumping, but never. How about with like the eating?
I go back to the Monday through Friday thing.
Yeah. You go right back, and you usually stick to that for a while, and then kind of fall off a little bit
until I'm sick of myself. I want to do another show. Yeah,
I see.
That's kind of been my cycle. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there might be a way to figure out how to. Stay on more.
How to what some people call reverse dieting, things like that. Yeah. It's really amazing. Like I'm telling you, when I'm a few days before the show, I'm like scared because I know what happens after, and I know how in control, I know what it feels like to be totally in control, and I know what it feels like to be very out of control. And when I
Right.
am in control, when I am focused in dieting, I really love that. I do.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that absolutely loves that. But
I think the YouTube gives me a little bit of a nice thing now too to stay on
mhm,
tour
no
too. You know,
doubt. I
that's like
asked you
this
that
is
one.
kind of like my version of being on stage. You know, like
Exactly. No, you have a vision and you have something that
yeah, I
you
want to
know that
portray like
you're
someone who
accountable.
I don't just review supplements. I live the life. You
Yeah,
know, like I want that gives me some I think validity with my reviews and stuff. That
no doubt.
you know,
Yeah, you
I'm
have to
all
be
in.
accountable.
Yeah, yeah. So do you? So you're really not setting any goals after competition unless it's competing, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I
Correct.
figured. So what is there something you wish you knew before your first competition?
Um, no, I mean, of course, there's always going to be those things. I think the fact of the matter is, you need to be at peace with. You're not going to know everything. You're going to keep accumulating knowledge. You need to be open to the whole process, to the letdowns, to the disappointments, to the things in order to keep learning. And
Is it
no,
truly a letdown? Like, let's say you went to a competition. Let's say you don't win. Is that really like heartbreaking, or do you go in expecting not to win? I mean, how do you? I don't know what your personal mentality is.
depend like at the yes, you're always disappointed when you are either don't place or you don't win. There was one year that they announced me as the winner, and
I
then
was there.
they said, "Wait, hold on, nope." Judges say this guy. What just
Yeah, it was
happened?
very strange.
I was ready to put my hand up. They said third place because there were only three more of us on stage. Third place, this guy. Second place, this guy. That means there's only one other. There's only one other person. And then they said, "Wait." I'm like, what? And yeah, it was fucked up. So no, and that's why I don't think I'm going to compete anymore. I
Yeah.
think it's all about the. I think I can enjoy the getting ripped up and having good pictures and enjoying that aspect of things without having to go through and support a system that I don't really love. A
Right.
system that I know is flawed, has judges who are coaches, all that. It's like, why am I giving money to the organizations that I'm not into? Um, and don't agree with. So I already do that enough with my tax dollars. I don't need to
I
do.
feel you. So, a few more questions I got for you. So, what are some of the things you've learned about yourself during competing? Because, like, I'll tell you this, I'm not gonna just like when I was shredding for the photo shoot, I learned a lot about my body. Like, there's a lot of stuff it was a really good learning experience. Like now, I know in my heart, if I go back, like I could shred anytime and like
Exactly. That
crush it. Like,
confidence is the biggest thing you take away. When you go through it and you see the focus and the determination that you have and the ability to stay on and change your body, that confidence is huge. Most people go through their entire lives not being able to attain that kind of confidence.
yeah.
And so
Like I
you
know
and I,
exactly what to do
exactly,
right now to
exactly.
manipulate my body and make massive changes. I
Yeah, and
know
until you
exactly.
train like that or have that kind of thing to focus on to get yourself to that point, you don't know that you're capable of it. And so that's a confidence that you can walk around with and understand yourself in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So have you made so is that what you've learned about yourself? That same thing that I have, or is there more?
Yeah, that I can do it when I want to do it. I'm going to do it, and I'm focused and I'm zoned in. I learned that that your entire world changes when you have a goal that you've set yourself up for.
It is
Really
kind of a
does.
nice feeling to know, like, no matter like where my physique is, like I know I could get back to where I
Yeah.
want to be if I do it. Like I know what to do now. Like
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
a nice feeling to have that. Like I know
Yeah.
it.
A lot of people say they know what to do, but they don't do it, and it's like, no, you and I will actually do it though. and that's a difference. Like people, I've heard that a million times. I know what to do. I just need to do it. It's like, well,
Oh, they say that with, I
just
know
do it.
addicts say that with getting sober. I
Right.
know
I know what
people,
to
they
do.
say, yeah, I said that my whole life. I didn't know what to do. I had
Yeah.
no clue what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know what to do. I didn't
Right.
know a thing about the 12
Yeah.
steps,
Until you
spirituality.
go through it and you're faced with certain challenges and things and you learn about yourself, you really don't know what to do. You just think, you're
Yeah.
just buying time.
So has competing done anything to change your overall look on fitness or life?
His competing,
Mm-hmm.
um, it really shows you that sometimes you look at people and you assume like, oh, that person's ripped up, I want to be like them. But you got to realize like there are so many different levels of no, most people don't walk around on competition style physique, right?
Right.
There were some guys like Joe Statics or something who looked amazing, right? And
Right.
very lean and stuff. But like a lot of guys soften up, and that's okay. Like you can soften
Yeah.
up for a long time, and then when you want to turn it on, you turn it on. So
Yeah.
it's
Well, I've
okay.
always liked kind of stay semi close to the mark mentality. Not
Mhm.
like, I mean, I don't think you need to get fat in order
No,
to gain
you don't.
muscle. And
No.
I
But
think
some
that,
people do, some people do, I'm saying, gain a lot of size. Like I feel like
I
Jay
know.
Cutler was a guy who probably was like very soft on his off season, and then when he cuts down, he freaking cuts down.
Right.
So yeah, some
Right.
guys are just like that.
Yeah. It's good. It's a mix of a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah,
For
for
sure.
sure. Different
Yeah.
body types too.
Yeah. If somebody came to you and said that they were going to compete in their first NPC show, is there any advice you'd give them?
Um, I mean, there are so many things that come into that, but I would say, there's the diet, there's the exercise, there's the posing, um, and then all the little things that lead up to it. So you just got to have those the big check marks. Can you check off that you're doing the right things for your diet? Can you check off that you're doing the right things for your posing and your workouts?
From
I don't
what
know.
I know, from what I've just information that I've gathered from the bodybuilding world, the posing gets the most overlooked.
Yeah.
Um, maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong, but
No,
it
I think
seems
that's
like
probably right.
if you know how to pose properly, that'll win you the show.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you have to have somewhat of a decent body, but
You
yeah,
got to have a decent body, of course, but the posing,
yeah.
if you can
if you're really
proper
ripped up and you don't have any good posing, yeah, you are not winning that
then you
competition.
might lose to somebody who's a little
Who's
less
like the exactly?
conditioned who
Yes,
knows how to freaking pose.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. There's a
So
confidence. There's a swagger, and then there's of course just knowing the angles in which to present yourself. Yeah.
right,
Yep.
right. So how have you chosen which shows to compete in? You just go
Local,
by
generally locally.
you just
I would
which are the most convenient in the
which are the
area.
most convenient as far as in my area and based on how many months I have to prep. So,
Yeah.
like most of the time when I'm doing a competition or choosing a competition, I'm choosing it right before I decide to jump in because I'm ready. Like that's when I'm ready, and so I'll say, "Oh, what's 3.5, 4 months out from me? Okay, I'm gonna choose that one. Go for
Right.
it." Yeah,
Right.
and so those have been in Michigan and Ohio.
Have you found that the people around you, whether it's myself, family, your friends, do you find that they're supportive of what you're doing, or
Everybody's been supportive. Yeah.
everybody?
No, my grandmother certainly has not been supportive.
She's never been supportive.
Say, Shelby, why do you do this to yourself? Why do you
Just eat.
can't you just eat how can't you just be blah, blah, blah? It's like, yeah, okay.
Does that trigger you?
No. I just laugh it off. It is what it is. I'll tell you this. Dad has definitely become more and more supportive over the years, and he's not, I would say supportive is the word, but accepting of it.
Yeah.
He'll ask, "Are you eating? Are you eating?" Like that's the question, because
He's gotten with the program.
we're used to having Sunday dinners or something, and he'll ask, "Are you eating?" As opposed to just like assuming. And yeah, no, he's gotten with the program, um, and yeah, that's cool. That's pretty good.
Right.
Everybody's been very supportive.
So, and then to wrap it up here, a couple more in the bodybuilding world. Um, do you have any people who you'd say are your biggest influences in bodybuilding? Whether it's people you know or
There are
people
probably
who
so
you
many
don't
people
know.
who I don't know who I would like and find likable. I don't follow that many people. Now I'm following like Charles Glass to try to learn some cool new like techniques for exercises that I've been doing for years, and maybe there are little tweaks in my positions and stuff. Charles Glass is a very famous trainer who deals with a lot of bodybuilders, so he's fun to look at. And then I'll watch I'll watch Jay Cutler on certain things. I'll watch Dexter Jackson. I'll watch just different people. It's always cool to find variations and different ways of doing exercises, just to make things a little fresher, not get too bogged down with the same old, same old.
Would you ever coach somebody or train them into a competition?
I have. I've done one person really, and it's dealing with too many neuroses. It's dealing with
You
too
don't
much.
enjoy that.
No, it's too much neuroticism. It's too much. I rather save all of that for me as opposed to having to live it secondhand through somebody else, because I will feel the pressure. Listen, I'm a therapist, so I'm dealing with feeling like I'm on the hook sometimes for a lot of people's results and stuff like that. I don't need to do that in the form of bodybuilding. So much.
Do,
It's
do
a
you
lot.
envision yourself competing again ever or no?
I don't know. Maybe we'll see. We'll know, and we'll know if I'm on stage for sure in a few months. Then we'll definitely know.
We'll know if you're on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, those are the
It's not out
questions.
of. I would never say never. So
Yeah. Well, yeah.
not right now.
So that's what I got. I wanted to find out, leave no stone unturned about your competition. I think it's interesting.
There you go.
People ask me if I'm going to compete. I get the question a lot. I haven't had any plans to do so.
So you might.
I would do a shred, a definite. I would do a good shred.
Good.
And I would, yeah. And I'd hire somebody to do some good pictures like you did.
Right. It was fun.
I like. And I like that it would be in the summer, and I like that it would be in the garage or in my habitat or whatever. Right. And I could see that being my high. I
think I'm much more satisfied with that and was much more excited afterwards.
Having those pictures like you have,
yeah,
that's just as satisfying or more.
It was maybe more. Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, that's it, everybody. If you have any comments, questions for Shelby, do not hit him up to coach you during your training.
Yeah, no.
You will not do that.
If you need therapy during the time, I'll help you out.
But you'll do therapy.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Good for you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what we got. God bless all of you. Hit the like button. Let's get this staying muscle. We are out.